Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to Be With Me, 7 Minutes of Biblical Wonder. We've got a lot to wonder about today. This is episode 274, and we've been working our way through Luke chapter 13, and we're going to read a passage today called The Narrow Door. Let me read it, and then we have things to discuss. I want to break it down into three things. I think it says some positive things about heaven. We learn things about heaven, so keep your eye open for that. And then we learn some negative things, some limitation things, the narrow part of the story, the narrowness, the exclusiveness part of the story. And then finally, we'll get to a charge for all of us, probably tomorrow. Here we go. The narrow door, Luke 13, verse 22. He went on his way through towns and villages, teaching and journeying toward Jerusalem. And someone said to him, "Lord, will those who are saved be few?" And he said to them, "Strive to enter through the narrow door, for many, I tell you, will seek to enter and will not be able. When once the master of the house has risen and shut the door, and you begin, oh my goodness, can't read today. And you begin to stand outside and to knock at the door, saying, 'Lord, open to us.' Then he will answer you, 'I do not know where you come from.' Then you will begin to say, 'We ate and drank in your presence, and you taught in our streets.' But he will say, 'I tell you, I do not know where you come from. Depart from me, all you workers of evil.' And in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom, but you yourselves cast out. And people will come from east and west, from north and south, and recline at table in the kingdom of God. And behold, some are last who will be first, and some who are first will be last." So let's just talk about the positive parts of this. So if you're a believer and you're thinking, gosh, I wonder what heaven is going to be like, I think there are some teaching points and some things to look forward to here. Starting with the end point first, just God's upside down economy, that some who are last will be first. And I think that's of great comfort if we're poor or limited in gifts or impaired in some way, or we carry a big burden, then it certainly sounds like heaven is a place for us. Second point, that heaven is going to be international, in that there is going to be people from east and west and north and south, and that's, I think, code for both Jew will be there, of his people, but also Gentile. So people that were not a part of the people of God got grafted in and are there, and it's going to be an international cast of character. So that's going to be fun. What are the people doing there? Well, they are reclining at table, which is kind of fun. We looked at that before from Luke chapter 12, verse 37. And I'll read that. "Blessed are those servants who the master finds awake when he comes. Truly, I say to you, he will dress himself for service and have them recline at table, and he will come and serve them." We talked about that a few days ago. It's like, you mean to tell me that Jesus is going to be serving again? He's going to put on his waiter clothes again and serve the people of God? Apparently, yes. So that's just blows our mind. Population, let's talk about this. There's going to be some noted celebrities there: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And I love the Old Testament. We haven't talked about the Old Testament in these 274 days too much, but I recommend the reading of it, because then you'll learn about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and very few characters in the Old Testament are perfect people. And so obviously we honor these people and their prophets, and I'm not a prophet. But my point is that if you study these people, these are flawed people. These are people with real problems and real struggles and real wrestling with the Lord. I'm thinking about Genesis chapter 22 with Jacob, literally wrestling with the Lord, and that's part and parcel of the Christian walk. And these guys and women that came before us were good examples of kind of flawed people. All right, what else is heaven going to be like? There's going to be a security system that there is a door. And we find out here that the door is narrow and it is going to be limited. Everybody that's inside the door is going to be family. Everybody that's outside the door is going to be non-family. I think of a big family picnic, and I don't know if you've driven by a big family picnic at a park, and everybody's got a certain, the Johnson family, and they have maybe a picture of the big family. Everyone's got their green T-shirt on, and you drive by and you think, those aren't my people. I'm not a part of that particular family. Well, similarly, I think heaven is going to be like everyone is going to have a green T-shirt on in heaven, say, yep, I'm part of the family of God. And then there's this permanence that is about this, that once the master of the house has risen and shut the door, that people who are outside will be staying outside. So in a sense, if you're in heaven, you don't have to worry about robbers and thieves. It's sort of a secure place to be. Okay, so let's talk about some negative parts of heaven. There are going to be people standing outside. They're going to be knocking. There's going to be many of them out there. They're going to be saying Lord, even though they're not family. Many are seeking to enter, verse 24. One of my thoughts is the miracle isn't that there's a narrow door. The miracle is that there is a door, that he gives us a way, that he and there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. That's from Acts chapter 4, verse 12. That's the miracle. And the people outside think they deserve it. That's kind of the scary thing. There's going to be weeping and gnashing and awareness that they're not inside. So it's a little bit of a scary passage. It's a comforting passage on one hand, and it's a scary passage on the other hand. There is going to be a narrow door. It does sound like few are going to get there. And so tomorrow, I'm going to give you the charge. Talk to you then.